Hi, welcome back to UQ. Today I'm going to give you insights into The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, a book by Covey. This book has sold over 30 million copies worldwide. It is one of the most influential books of all time. If you really want to be successful in life, this is the book you need. I've read a lot of success books, but most of the things written in other books are covered in this book. The success principles in this book are so fundamental and timeless. This book would be useful for anyone, anywhere, and probably still be useful even in 100 years. But because it is so fundamental, it could be a bit general or too abstract to some people. So in this video, I would like to be more specific so you can fully understand the 7 habits and implement them to change your life for better. So let's get started. The 7 habits we're talking about here are to live a successful and fulfilling life, but being successful doesn't just mean being rich or powerful. Everyone has their own definition of success, whether it's money, power, love, or family. But Covey said, if you carefully consider what you want to be said of yourself in the funeral experience, you will find your definition of success. Would you like to be remembered for having an expensive supercar or living in a big house? Probably not. Although the definition of success would vary from person to person when it comes to how you want to be remembered, most people share similar values and goals. That's the true success. Now that you know what success means to you, let's move on to the 7 habits. Well, there are 7 habits, but why did Covey call them habits? Because they are not quick fixes or easy methods that you can apply to achieve one thing. They are ways of being or values we need to live by. It's rather a process of growth to reach maturity and to be truly fulfilled, and it's not about achieving superficial success. To begin with, I would like to give you an overview of the 7 habits so you can get the big picture and understand how these habits help you achieve your ultimate success. According to the book, there are 3 stages of maturity: dependence, independence, and interdependence. At birth, everybody's dependent. You rely on someone. The second stage is independence. It means you are free from external influence. Covey calls it private victory. The third stage is interdependence, where we can cooperate, where we can work as a team and synergize our talents. It's public victory. The first 3 habits are: 1. Be proactive. 2. Begin with the end in mind. And 3. Put first things first. These first 3 are to achieve independence. They lead you to personal success. But Covey said that's not enough. Once we achieve our personal success, we will need to move on to the next step. The next 3 habits are: 4. Think win-win. 5. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. And 6. Synergize. These habits are to achieve interdependence. Achieving personal individual success is not enough. Once you're independent, you can choose to be interdependent and build rich, highly productive relationships. And the 7th habit is sharpen the saw. That's the habit to keep growing after you achieve independence and interdependence. Achieving public victory is not enough. You need to keep going. So now that you get the big picture of the 7 habits and 3 stages of maturity, let's look into each habit. Habit number 1, be proactive. This means be responsible for your own life. For example, when something bad happens to you, you could just blame others or circumstances, but that's being reactive, not proactive. Even if the cause of the problem was beyond your control, think about what you can do about the problem. That is being proactive. That way you can take control of your life. If you blame others, you are just giving control to others or to the circumstance because you are just reacting to external things that are beyond your control. So be proactive and focus on what you can do. This is so important and fundamental, and it is not a new idea. 2,000 years ago, Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, said, "There is only one way to happiness, and that is to cease worrying about things which are beyond the power of our will." Or more recently, about 100 years ago, the Serenity Prayer was written, which goes, "God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference." The first habit, be proactive, is the same thing. And this, in my opinion, is the most fundamental and most important principle of all. Okay, let's move on to the second habit, begin with the end in mind. At the end of life is death. Although this principle can be applied to many other circumstances of life, like more specific goals, the most fundamental application is to live our everyday life with the image of the end of our lives. Imagine you're at your own funeral, and your family and friends are giving speeches. What are they going to say about you? Think about how you want to be remembered. Then, based on that thought, create your personal mission statement. Don't rush, as this could take some months. But once you create your mission statement, you will not be indecisive. You will have your own guidance and beacon to lead you through whatever comes your way. So think about how you want to live your life and write down your mission statement, and that should begin with the end in mind. However, this habit can apply to many things. For example, planning to build your own house, or bake a cake, or for children, perhaps to complete a jigsaw puzzle. The third habit is to put first things first. Now you've set your own mission statement or set a goal to achieve something, but if you don't prioritize what you do and focus on making progress, you will not achieve the goal, or you won't be able to live your life as you want. Your time is limited. Once you set a goal, you need to prioritize and focus on the most important things to achieve that goal. When you prioritize what you need to do, people often focus on urgent tasks, but the things that need to be done to achieve your goal are more important and they need to be prioritized. So, you might be using Google Calendar or a to-do list and thinking you are managing your time well, but that would not be enough. So categorize what you do into 4 quadrants. 1. Things that are urgent and important. 2. Things that are important but not urgent. 3. Things that are urgent but not important. 4. Things that are not urgent and not important. We tend to spend most of our times on quadrants 1 and 3. When we talk about prioritization, people often misunderstand that it's about urgency. But if you really want to achieve your goal, you need to prioritize things that are important. Don't just spend your time addressing urgent issues or you will never reach your real goals. Now, I've talked about the first 3 habits, and those are to achieve your private victory. First, be proactive. That means you will need to be responsible for your life and focus on the circle of your influence. Second, begin with the end in mind. Clarify your goal and values. Third, put first things first. Focus on things that are important to achieve the goal you set. With these 3 habits, you can achieve your personal success, which seems quite simple. Then you move on to the next steps to achieve public victory. This leads to the 4th habit, is to think win-win. You probably hear this all the time if you're working in corporate or customer service, so I'm not going to dig into it. But this means you should ditch the thoughts that there are always winners and losers. Instead, believe that there is always a way to benefit all the related parties. Without this belief, you won't be able to achieve public victory. The 5th habit is to seek first to understand, then to be understood. This is important to build a win-win relationship. When someone talks about their problems and asks for advice, most of us cannot resist the urge to say, "If I were you, I would do this," or "When I was in a similar situation, I did this." Stephen Covey explains this situation using a really interesting analogy. You go to an optometrist because you've been having trouble with your eyes. After briefly listening to your problem, the optometrist takes off his glasses and says, "Put these on. I've been wearing them for 10 years now and they've helped me." Like optometrists or doctors need to diagnose before prescribing, you need to listen carefully to fully understand their problems. You'll need empathetic listening. You need to put yourself in the person's shoes. Empathetic listening is not a skill, but an attitude to truly understand others. The latter part of this habit is to be understood, which is equally important. When you express your opinion, it should be done based on the understanding of the other. Seek to have your point understood from their frame of reference. Let's move on to habit number 6, synergize. If you try to build a win-win relationship and listen with empathy and learn to be understood, you can probably achieve this as well. The point here is to synergize and not to compromise. If you work with someone else, there's always a gap or difference in the approaches. But the essence of synergy is to value the differences, to respect them, to build on strengths, and to compensate for weaknesses. This way, 1 + 1 can become more than 2. And finally, habit number 7 is to sharpen the saw. If you are so busy trying to saw down a tree and don't have enough time to sharpen the saw, it will take much longer than if you stopped once and sharpen your saw. It's simple, but in everyday lives, we are too busy doing our own things and forget about sharpening the saw. There are a lot of things that you'll need to do to sharpen your saw. Sharpening your intellect by learning new things and reading books is not enough. You'll need to improve your fitness, mentality, and relationship with others. So I guess you will need to work out, do strength training, meditate, and see your friends and new people to keep good relationships. But wait a minute, Mr. Covey, it's a bit too much. However, I think there is a reason why this is the last habit. By adopting habits 1 to 3, you have clarified your goal and your values, so you'll know what needs to be done as a priority and effectively will sharpen your saw. Today I talked about 7 habits by highly effective people. This book is not about becoming financially rich, but about being truly happy and fulfilled. To summarize, habit number 1, be proactive. 2, begin with the end in mind. 3, put first things first. 4, think win-win. 5, seek first to understand, then to be understood. 6, synergize. And 7, sharpen the saw. The first 3 habits are for you to become independent and successful yourself, and the next 3 habits are for you to be interdependent and be successful with others. And the last is to sharpen the saw and keep growing. Those are the habits you want to develop. However, those 7 habits aren't that easy to practice, are they? At least for me, I felt they were a bit too much. I understand every one, and each habit is important, but the most important of all, in my opinion, is habit number 1. You want to be in control of your own life. Don't let the boss who micromanages you or the friends who always try to one-up you dictate your value. Focus on your circle of influence. I'm making this video not for you just to listen to, but for you to make small changes in your life. So let me suggest one thing you can do from now. It is to change the words that you use. When a problem occurs, don't blame others or the circumstances. Instead, try to talk about what you are going to do about it. Take control of the situation. That's something we can start doing from today. The 7 habits are not something you will achieve instantly. That's why they are called habits. This is the kind of book which you need to reread every now and then to remind yourself. If you haven't read it, I strongly recommend you get a copy so you can refer to it whenever you need to. If you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. I put the link down below for the book. Thank you for watching. See you next time.